I met up with my friend for lunch at a restaurant. We'd been part of the same social group for a few months and we were getting to know each other, to be more familiar with each other, so we decided to hang out. We settled into our booth and we started to talk, but something felt off. The conversation felt one-sided at first. Her answers were monosyllables with little or no explanation or follow-up. I had to do a lot of mental jiu-jitsu just to carry the weight of our conversations that day. She opened up to me a little more before our time was over, but the epiphany had been had and etched into my memory. This is what it means to be on the other side of someone who doesn't like small talk. And that's what we're breaking down in this episode. Why introverts don't like small talk, and what's the faith perspective to that? Welcome to another episode of the series on introvert problems and faith solutions. Let's get into it. You're listening to the Driven Introvert Podcast, the place to be for dreamers, doers, and entrepreneurs who are ready to birth the dreams, callings, and ideas the Lord has placed in their hearts. Do you sense that God is calling you to step out and do something new, but you're held back by fear and uncertainty? Do you struggle with believing that you can do great things because of your quiet, reserved, and introverted nature? Welcome here. I'm Remy Roy, your host and founder of shepacked.com. I'm an author, an entrepreneur, a creative, and a committed trier. I'm here to help you get unstuck and make progress on your God idea. Let's go. All right, don't get me wrong. I love my friend. And the fact that she's not really into small talk is not a dig at all, but I used to be 100% small talk averse too. I've done a lot of reflection to figure out why I didn't like small talk. I still don't like it to a large extent, but I'm able to engage more now than I used to. For me, small talk, especially with total strangers, felt overwhelming because my mind is running at breakneck speed. I'm trying to not appear weird or unintelligent or unfriendly or, not warm or whatever. With my friends and family, small talk just seems like a waste of time, especially when we're discussing something I don't particularly care for or I feel like it doesn't impact our life in any meaningful way. So it really does depend on the situation, but as a rule, small talk has never been my favorite thing. But being on the other side of that felt very jarring. If I didn't know myself or feel confident in who I was, I would have felt that maybe I had done something wrong to offend my friend. Like, why was she being kind of passive-aggressive and giving me short answers with no extra details? You see, I know that many introverts struggle with casual conversations, especially if you are really on the introvert side of the spectrum. We find it hard to initiate or maintain light conversations. We find it very difficult to make or even engage in small talk. Probably because we feel awkward, shy, or exhausted engaging in conversations and keeping the conversation going. There's so many reasons for it. But we live in a relational world. We cannot escape conversations. This is what makes us human, relational beings. So how have I handled my aversion to small talk? Well, I begin by paying attention to the person I'm in conversation with. I take the focus off myself to actually see the person as worthy of my full attention. This isn't easy. Like, you have to be mentally attuned to where you are in that moment, because that person in front of me, they are a fully formed, complex human with interesting traits, experiences, and perspectives that I can learn from. And people are really very interesting to me. I'm nosy like that. I'm curious about people. Like, I want to know what makes them tick, why they do what they do, and all of that. So I just need to bring that perspective into my everyday interactions, even when small talk is involved. Also, I want to add something to this conversation that I'm having with this person. I'm hopefully fulfill a part of my assignment and bringing joy or meaning to someone's life that day. That certainly won't happen if I won't even talk to them. So if there's someone I'm meeting for the first time and I'm still figuring out what we have in common, then if we have to discuss like boring weather stuff, like, oh, what's the weather today? It's overcast outside. It's raining tomorrow, all that boring stuff. Well, let's go. Let's talk about the weather. Let's check the weather app and discuss it and have a conversation about the weather. I'll do that because I know that there's a reason why this conversation has come up in my life. I want to be present and aware and a blessing to that person. Colossians 4:6 says, "Let your conversation be always full of grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everyone." There's an answer for that situation that you are supposed to bring, that I am supposed to bring. And if we don't engage, we cannot provide that. I love this verse because it encourages us to have the conversations that are kind and meaningful, and we can start small by asking relevant questions. And from there, we find common ground and interest with the other person. For example, a simple, "What do you do for fun?" can be a step to a deeper connection. And if you're the introvert on the receiving end of that question, try to say more than, "Oh, not much," and then turn away. I might have done that before, and I'm not exactly sure, but I'm sure I've probably done that before. Always have in mind that the goal is not to be the most interesting or entertaining person in the room. Rather, it's about building meaningful relationships by showing interest in others. This is what I've had to learn and constantly tell myself. As an introvert, if you focus on thoughtful engagement, you easily overcome small talk challenges. You'll find yourself connecting with people more. And if you've been listening to the podcast, you know I used to be an extreme introvert, extremely shy, extremely self-conscious, and anxious. And having conversations with people wasn't my favorite thing. And now that I think about it, it's not because I didn't like it. It was because I just had so many questions in my head. Like, my mind was busy, and I wouldn't be able to kind of bring myself fully into that conversation because my mind was busy. I was busy thinking about all the things that made me feel awkward or whatever, and I could not engage. So now I try to focus on really engaging thoughtfully with that person. Figuring out, what do we have in common? What am I interested in about this person, and how can we talk about that? And that connection is like a stepping stone to just deeper conversations. So let's talk about 3 practical ways to be a little better at small talk. Number 1, practice. You knew that was coming, right? It might sound weird. Why would I practice small talk? Well, because you want to be an engaging person who is interested in other people and wants to form deeper and meaningful connections. And small talk is usually the first step, especially if you're meeting a stranger. So if the alternative is you giving one-word monosyllabic answers and changing location so no one talks to you, then practicing your questions and responses is a good alternative. Except, of course, you generally don't want to talk to anyone, and that's fine with you, then by all means, mumble something and look for the nearest exits. That works too. I've done that. If I really feel like maybe in this space, I really don't want to engage, I don't need to engage, or maybe I'm drained right now and I cannot give my best, I will find my way out, trust me, right? But it's something to consider, depending on the situation. Number 2, change your focus. What do I mean by that? It's not about you. Take the focus off of yourself. Be genuinely interested in the person in front of you, and you will find it easier to ask questions that take the connection deeper. Let your conversations be always full of grace. Remember that scripture. So that you may know how to answer everyone. Change your focus. What flavor, using salt, as the metaphor here, what flavor could you bring to this conversation, to this person, to this interaction? It makes the difference. Number 3, see God in the other person. Do you believe that everyone you meet is made in God's image and that He loves them and has great plans for them just like He has for you? If yes, and I hope your answer is yes, then be a small part of that good plan. What words of joy or encouragement will the Lord want you to give someone else? And this doesn't mean you have to preach to everyone you meet, but use words of grace, seasoned with salt. And we should all strive to do that. Salt adds flavor. You can add flavor to the world around you. And if that starts with small talk, then bring it on. I hope this helps you be more intentional about your conversations and interactions with others. You can make a difference and a positive impact even with your words, no matter how small they are. My journey to becoming more confident has involved being able to talk to other people confidently by paying attention to them, by listening to them, by engaging, answering questions. And for somebody like me, it's not an easy thing to do. If you are an extrovert or someone who doesn't have this small talk problem, you might think, what are you talking about? Like, this is not a big deal. But for me, it was. And sometimes still is. I have to be intentional. I have to bring my whole self to every conversation so that I can engage. And it's funny now, I used to be the person who would never say hi to someone, that is just like randomly sitting beside me, maybe at church, at an event, but now I do it all the time. It's how I've met some of my very best and amazing friends today, because I just decided, hey, hello, what's up? And before you knew it, we found a lot of things that we had in common and we went from there. So take that step. If you are someone who doesn't like small talk, figure out how can you begin to engage more intentionally. All right, again, the things I mentioned, practice. Practice small talk, practice your questions, practice your responses. I'm telling you, it works. Number 2, change your focus. Focus on the other person. Sometimes when we are too self-conscious, it robs us of just amazing interactions that can happen organically. And number 3, see God in the other person. If that person is made in the image of God, you can engage with them. You can love them. You can speak words of life to them. You can laugh with them. You can do it. All right, I'd love to hear from you. Are you an introvert? Do you struggle with small talk? Are there any strategies you've tried to create meaningful conversations with people you meet? Send me an email at thedrivenintrovert@shepack.com. I'll love to hear from you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoy this conversation, please take a moment to follow or subscribe to the podcast. I'd also love your feedback on this episode. You can scroll down on your app and click write a review. I'd love to read your takeaways from this conversation. As always, don't forget to take courage, trust God, and go pursue your big ideas. See you next time. The Driven Introvert is produced by shepack.com and Remy Roy. Want to ask a question or share a comment on a future episode? Click on the link in the show notes to record your question in a voicemail.